back with some teals on probably, no, not probably, definitively my most favorite color. We did cobalt teal on the last one, but I went ahead and added it here. But I went ahead and added it back to this palette because I only had 5 other new teals that I didn't have swatched out. Actually, I did Cobalt and Sleeping Beauty in the last, and I have 7 total. So I did Cobalt, Fuchsite Genuine, Amazonite Genuine, Cobalt Turquoise, Ultramarine Turquoise, and Phthalo Turquoise. Probably my most favorite turquoise. But on this palette, some of these are separating from their binder here and here. They're kind of goopy. So we're going to need to incorporate those back in with the pigments when I get to those. But we're going to start with Cobalt, which is over here anyway, in my other palette. The one I've been using, my well-loved Rainbow palette. This one right here. Heavy. Not heavy, but just hard to pick up, awkward. So I got my Cobalt here, so I didn't put any more on this plate. I just went ahead and use it on this palette. Okay, enough chatty, more painty. Move you boys out of the way. Get my teals here, and let's teal. We love teal. This is my mother's favorite color, my daughter's favorite color, and my favorite color. Yeah, I don't have it in my house to speak of, really. I have a little bit, not a lot, and I don't wear it. But if I'm painting or I'm doing an art project, I love it. Yep, it's my go-to color. There's some people that love purple, and their house, they wear purple, they decorate their houses in purple, their vehicles are purple, and they take it. And I guess if I truly love turquoise, as much as I say, I would have clothing and things to, go along with that. But no, I just like to, I do have it in my art studio, and I do have it in a lot of my art pieces, especially with Quinn Gold. Turquoise and Quinn Gold together, it's magic, I tell you. Because they complement each other across the color wheel, I get that, but goodness, they're fun. And then turquoise and red and yellow is another favorite combo of mine. I think the Pioneer Woman, a lot of her line is based on that trio of turquoise, red, and bright canary yellow. Great way to start my day every morning. A little art practice. Even if I'm not making a piece of art, this puts me in the, I don't know, the mindset, I guess. I think it's also just a great way to start your day with intention. Kind of like making your bed. If I've done nothing else today, I've made my bed. If I've done nothing else today, I've done this. Hopefully I'll do other things, but like that. Very granulating, as you can see. When it dried down in that last one I did, it really dried down granulated out quite a bit. So did these two. Windsor didn't, but the rest of these seem to granulate. Boy, I sure seem to gravitate, or have in my collection. I seem to have a lot of granulating pigments and just think I started hating them. Avoiding them, maybe that's a better word. I started in the early days. But you know, that was because of a teacher. I had a mentor. I think I mentioned that before. She hated granulation because of the style of art she did. Granulation didn't work for her style. She was going for, you know, her style just didn't, the granulation seemed to give her fits. So she, oh, it's really dark now that I'm looking at that. So she advocated for non-granulating pigments. And yeah, I gotta take some of that off. That is too much. I'm talking and not paying attention. I'm just painting. And so I avoided them in the early days because she did, you know, and she's still a friend, still a mentor, my best friend, and she still hates granulating pigments. But, you know, that's the lovely part about life is you might be a mustard person and I'm a, well, you might be a ketchup person and I'm a mustard person, and that's okay. Yeah, I meant to get that a little lighter than I did, but oh well. And it seems like it's going to be fairly staining too, which means even if I go in here and I could go in here and do this. Ugh, this makes me nervous. Okay, not bad. I'm not always the best at lifting, so that means I need to practice more. I guess this is my opportunity. I also feel like it's just, once you get the pigment down, why take it back? But, okay, that's better. I like how that's going to be a lot lighter than it was. Because that's the goal, is to see the range and refer to it long term. I was thinking about this earlier. I think once I'm done with this little this color study series, that I'm going to probably bind these into some sort of, I'm sorry, copy, reference book, because I've got enough of them here that it could be fun just to, I don't know, bind them in like a ring binding system, or I haven't decided, but it was just the thought I had this morning. Okay, we got a splooge there, but splooge is going to have to live. All right, now we get to play with fuchsite next, which is the one that has separated a skosh from the gum arabic. So I'm going to which ends up getting your brush really super loaded with pigment, unfortunately. I'll try to offload some, because I hate wasting pigment. I know it's not a waste, but you know what I mean. Don't judge me. I'm a frugal girl. I come from frugal parents and frugal grandparents. So I try to least not, want not, and all that. Ooh. Okay, well luckily the first cell is very pigmented, so I will take advantage of what I just did by painting that space first, which I always do anyway. That is a beautiful turquoise. Why don't I use that turquoise more? I think I like that better than cobalt teal, which I didn't think that was possible. That's a really pretty color. What I'm seeing, and the camera's not picking up, is there's a little bit of a glitter or iridescence to it, but only barely. And maybe that's just my morning eyes needing to get cleaned. But it feels like there's a, I'm going to pick this up, and I'm pretty sure the camera's not going to pick it up, but well, I don't know, maybe it's just the water. Guess what? We'll find out when it dries down, won't we? A lot of times things with iridescence in them, shimmer in them, they don't show until it's dry. So when you're first painting with it, if you're painting with something that's supposed to have a shimmer, you might go, oh. But then as it dries, that shimmer shows up. Okay, that's just not at all thinned down enough to be a mid-tone. water to my brush, and then I just came over here and essentially it just removes the pigment. It's in your brush. It makes it run down the plate. My Dollar Tree plate. Yeah, it sure feels like there's a shimmer in that. We'll tell. Alright. Next spot. The thing about the genuines, seems to me, at least in this color, there's not a lot of variation in that saturation of the pigment, of the color. The pigment seems to be prevail. I mean, like with Windsor Blue, there's a big range here, but not as big a range as the ones on either side of it, right? Just an interesting observation. Alright, we're still on Fuchsite. Let's see if we can get this really watered down here. Oh yeah, that's better. I like that better. Okay, last one. Of course, I'm trying to clean up the edge of my palette. I like it. Alright, let's move on to our next genuine, which is Amazonite. Probably butchering that name. This looks super pigmented and gloppy. Okay. Yep. It's sticky. Man, I don't like it when it's sticky like this. Let's add some water and see if we can get it to move a little better. That's almost more. That leans more blue, and these lean way more green, don't they? I probably should have swatched all 6 and then put them in some sort of green-blue order. The greens on the left and the blues on the right, like it would be on the spectrum or the rainbow. But just plop them down and go. Wow, that's pretty. Yeah, this definitely needs water to get it moving. There we go. Now it's behaving like a watercolor. Feeling very jade to me. Way more green than turquoise, actually. It's funny because the label, and I know they do their best, but the label feels very turquoise. And yet, it's Feeling very green. But you know what? I bet you put it up next to the greens and it looks very turquoise. That's funny about how colors work like that. I'm sure you've seen that before. Okay, that looks great. Okay, moving on to cobalt turquoise. I watered that down too much. Now that's too watery also. And this is very sludgy. It doesn't want to move either. So I did some water, but trying to practice not moving my paper as much too. Get some muscle memory in the opposite direction. Pushing instead of pulling. Oh, that's better. See, look how much better that's moving after a few minutes of water. Sitting there letting it activate or whatever it does. Whatever that word is. I know that's what it does, but is activate the right word? I don't know. When it's fresh out of a tube. These are all fresh out of a tube, by the way, on the plate. On this little palette to the side. These are tube fresh, which often means they're more concentrated because they're already wet. Yeah, so that's the same dang color. Alright, well, you know what that means. I'm going to try to lift some pigment. Wouldn't be a video if I didn't have to lift some pigment because I went overboard. Nope. So, I can't seem to lift any, so I'll try to add a little bit more to this one. But not go too crazy because I don't want it to mimic that one. Okay, let's finish up cobalt turquoise because I got breakfast waiting. See that fine line like that? I just have to turn it. I can't get that teeny tiny bit of a line without pulling. And that's what I needed right there. blushing. Boom. Yeah, not bad. Okay. All right, here's another one that's gloppy. Separated from its gum arabic. Oh, still got coffee. All right. It says ultramarine turquoise. Oh my goodness gracious. There's a whole lot of pigment on that brush now. All right, now let's just see if we can swirl it off. And that is a gorgeous. It's even on the, oh, I forget what that's called, a ferrule. Man, I feel feral. This is messy, and it's goopy. It needs watering, which means more pigment on this brush. Mercy sakes. But worth it. Look at this color. If you like turquoise, these last two could be good, because I think what I like most about these super pigmented colors is that you get super saturation here. But by the time we get out here, it's almost like you're getting 3 turquoises for the price of 1. You know, this one, this one definitely not. But watch how this one gets into some really nice midtones. And then the wash on it is going to give you such a pale, pale turquoise that you're getting in a blue range, in a blue turquoise range. I think that's a blue, isn't it? Or is that a red? You know, don't ask me. This is not, no, that might be more of a red turquoise actually. Or warm. Well, anyway. You'll see what I mean here in a second. Oh, and that is like the same dang saturation level. I have got to get some more pigment off of this brush. Let's try that. See if that helped. Let's add a heap ton of water to this. I hate to, but okay, I'm gonna have to do something here that I don't normally do. It's just I've got too much pigment on this brush. No, not watercolor paper. Keep a little envelope, a little sleeve of offcuts, leftover pieces. And I'm just looking for something. Here we go. Oops, and I dropped it. And I am just going to empty this brush. But I am not going to waste this pigment. See, that pigment is just keep like Energizer Bunny. That is not smart, doing it over your piece. That was not a good plan, because I could have ended up with a glop. I'm not trying to spread the paint out that's pigment out that's on the paper. I'm just trying to get a bunch of it out of this brush. Okay, that's better. Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's do this. Let's take a bunch of this off. Let's put it over here. This is way too dark. And there's a lot of water, so it's going to let me remove a bunch of pigment. Yay. I think it's just as important to see how to not fix, but problem solve if you got a result you didn't want, as it is to see how it works when it goes exactly like you wanted it to, which hopefully this is showing you. Okay, and see, this is now darker than this, but water is our friend here. First of all, we're going to spread it out and see if that naturally dilutes it, which it will some. Then we may either use the blotting technique, or try to offload with a clean dry brush, relatively dry brush. Let's see, there we go. And that right there is a successful lift of color. Trying to get that last puddle gone, but it doesn't want to go. Okay, now we'll do our last color, which is just barely a pigment at all. And you can already see the range of color that ultramarine turquoise gives you. Now this is Daniel Smith's ultramarine turquoise. So if you're using another brand, your mileage may vary. But it doesn't matter the brand. If you get something that's highly saturated in color, and any color palette, any colorway, orange, red, purple, you get with something super saturated, you almost get 5 pigments for the price of 1. There endeth my point. All right, our last and final color, and perhaps my most favorite, although ultramarine turquoise is up there, is phthalo, and I think I'm pronouncing that right, although I've heard people call it phthalo, but tomato, right? Phthalo turquoise. All right, here, big girl. Let's see how you look. Yeah, that's a red blue, because this is a cool blue. That's a warm blue. But I thought ultramarine was a cool blue. Or cool, well, I'm no color theorist, so I'm just rambling. Okay. That looks almost black. That is so pigmented. And again, this follows that same rationale I was just talking about with, you know, if you're limited on budget, and who isn't? Nobody. I've yet to meet a person, artist, whomever, homeowner, parent, that goes, yeah, budget's no issue. I have an unlimited budget. Nobody says that. Nobody lives that. Well, few people live that. Okay. Now let's get a mid-tone here. Oh, that is so... You can see, camera may not show you, but the beautiful part about this pigment, I wonder how many pigments are in this bad boy, if I can read. PB 1513, PG 36. I feel like I'm reading Greek here. Just those two. It feels like it just separates into so many different colors. Without granulation. And that's the hard part to explain, or hard part to realize until you play with a color, is how does it respond once you add water to it and thin it out. And okay, let's take it to here. That's pretty. These make me think of the ocean, or really beautiful lakes. Not by me, of course. Florida has ugly lakes, but meaning they're just not blue and pretty like this. And they're muddy and murky and brown. There's some lakes that are just like Lake Louise up in Canada, Banff area. Not that I've been, but you see pictures and you think that's what I wish a lake would look like close to me. I would swim in that lake. These brown lakes, not so much. Okay. That is pretty. Not my favorite version of that color. I like the first three. And I think I'm going to like this fifth one. It's always nice to have a hint or hue or whatever that word is. It's always nice to have that really super pale version. And that's why I think getting highly saturated pigments, if you're starting off and your budget's on the, you've got to be, you know, super careful about what you buy. Buy highly saturated pigments, granulating or not, I don't care. But if you buy, I don't think granulating though come highly saturated. Buy highly saturated pigments, and then you get, not to harp on the blue one, but you know, Winsor Blue, that is by Winsor Newton. That's highly saturating, and you know, some of these Quins are highly saturating. Look at that range you get: Quin Magenta and Quin Rose, and I mean, you get a lot of colors in one tube. And these are those granulatings by Schminke, which for granulation, those do pretty well. But Aussie Red Gold, I mean, you get an orange here and almost a yellow here. So just food for thought. Okay, so I think we are done with the turquoise study, and I think I love them all. I would like to swim in the oceans that each of these live in. But for today, we're going to call that done. See you soon. Bye.